Welcome to Contact Has Begun, brought to you by the grace of the World Puja Network, one of the last vestiges of truth concerning benevolent, spiritually and technologically advanced off-world visitors. Some refer to these visitors as our greater family of man or returning ancient ancestors. I am James Gillen, your host, and our guests also include cutting-edge physicists, authors, teachers, and healers dedicated to the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth. Let the journey begin. Greetings. This is James Gillen with World Puja. We've got a great show today. We've got Richard Dolan, who was born in Brooklyn, New York, studied at Alfred University and Oxford University, was a finalist for a Rhodes Scholarship, and completed his graduate work in the history at University of Rochester. Prior to his interest in UFOs, Dolan studied U.S. Cold War strategy, Soviet history and culture, and international diplomacy. He's got a couple of great books out. One is UFOs in the National Security State, and then the sequel to that is the Cover-Up Exposed. And I think that's about enough. I have so much information I want to get into. So, Richard, are you with us?
I am indeed, James. Hello.
Oh, thanks for coming on the show. Did I cover you? Are those the two books that you have, or is there anything else that you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the two volumes of history that I've written. I've just co-authored a third book, which will be out in 3 weeks, actually.
Great.
The first two books are part of what will be a 3-volume trilogy when they're completed, and that will be my effort at a really comprehensive public history of the UFO phenomenon in the modern era, and that will cover everything that I think is worth covering from the 1940s till today. The first 2 volumes, which are now out, take us right up to the end of the Cold War, 1991. That second volume, which is subtitled "The Cover-Up Exposed," that came out last summer. That's a big fat book. I think it's about 600 plus pages. There's a lot in there. Yeah. I've just finished co-authoring a really neat book with a great guy, Bryce Zabel. Bryce, in fact, was the creator years ago of the television show Dark Skies. Many people might remember that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, but we've written a book that's, I characterize it as our what-if book, our peer into the future. What if UFO secrecy ended? The book is called AD After Disclosure, kind of a neat title. Our subtitle is The People's Guide to Life After Contact, and really what we've tried to do is to try to see how the world might react and respond in the aftermath of the end of UFO secrecy. It's my own opinion that the UFO phenomenon is real, and it's my opinion that there's a cover-up, and it's also my opinion that it won't last forever. There will be a day when this secrecy ends, and so the question that we try to answer is what might happen when that does occur. That's a big what if, of course. I'm sure we'll get a lot of things wrong, but it's our attempt to kind of get the ball rolling and to start a conversation.
It's definitely, I think all those opinions you have are right on the money because, I've been involved with this back ever since I was a kid. I saw things and knew about things, and my grandfather was in New Mexico. He owned the hardware store when they had the crash there, and my grandmother was very good friends with the sheriff, the first responders. So it goes on and on. It doesn't quit there. But
it's a family affair for you guys.
Yeah, but it's been a long, long history of cover-up, and knowing some of the physicists that worked on the back-engineered projects there, too, it's a shame that technology doesn't get out into the mainstream.
Well, that's one of the things that we try to discuss in our book. That is the technological implications. One of the key issues, as I've seen forever, I think a lot of people do, is energy, of course. So, obviously, whatever these objects are using to get around, these craft, it's not gasoline. It's not petroleum. It's going to be a system that's quite a lot nicer than that. And so whether that is some form of fusion, nuclear fusion, say, or a zero-point energy or something even more exotic still, whatever that is, our argument is that we will soon learn about it in the aftermath of a disclosure event, and that will transform really at the fundamental level, how we consume energy, how we use energy. That by itself is a game changer in our civilization when you really think about it. Our whole world economy, financial system, infrastructure is petroleum-based. And so you replace that. That's not an easy thing to do, but it will happen. And that's just one of the many, many issues that we try to explore in this book.
Yeah, it's definitely a necessary thing. Now, these beings, I know, some of them are extremely advanced. They're thousands, millions, could even be billions years ahead of us in evolution, and some of them have transcended war and disease, and they have the fewest energy technologies, and it seems like everything that they stand for is contrary to the present government or the present powers that be.
Everything that those groups would stand for, yes. My own assessment is that we, humanity right now, are of great interest, I think, to a lot of groups. I'm not certain, frankly, that all of them are other-directed, altruistic, or as we might simplistically say, good. Not so sure about that. I certainly think some are, yes. I would agree with you from just simply trying to be as empirical as I can and looking through the data of encounters that people have had with these non-human entities. Some, however, have been less than positive. And so the question is going to be, as I see it, if/when there's openness that comes out on this, one issue that's going to come out, I think, right away is going to be how do we interpret the abduction phenomenon. These are not going to be easy to resolve in all likelihood. Even now among people in the UFO field, we certainly don't have agreement. You can see almost a straight political divide among people on the abduction phenomenon in our field. Those who look at these non-human intelligences as very malevolent. There's no shortage of research on that. And then, of course, there's a very large school that looks at these entities as very benign and benevolent. I realize it doesn't have to be that black and white. I've looked at this, and I happen to think that there are multiple groups that are observing us right now. I happen to think that humanity is of particular interest right now. Look at us. In the blink of an eye, in terms of time, we have gone from a society of horses pulling carts to, just 100 years ago, really, 150 years ago. Everything was made out of wood, a little bit of iron here and there, no circuitry, no electricity. And suddenly we go from that to a world where we're going to be having sentient machines in about one generation from now. Nanotech is going to be off the wall, quantum computing, and who knows what else, right? So in a very brief period of time, we have reinvented our society, our civilization, ourselves. We've cracked the human genome. What are we, humanity, physiologically going to look like in a mere century from now? We really need to ask this. In other words, I guess what I'm suggesting is we're not moving at a linear rate. We're moving really exponentially. And any observing intelligence, I should think, must be aware of this fact. So that, in other words, they may be billions of years ahead of us, but it might not be that, in 100 years, we will have no ability to interact with them. We are moving along a very, very steep trajectory right now. And I think for that reason, we have gotten the attention of many, many, many groups and intelligences that have the ability to monitor us. And my only position is I am personally not 100% certain that they're all here looking out for our best interest.
I know from my own experience, I can say that there are some that I would rather not encounter,
Indeed.
And I had to align with the more benevolent ones to end that program. But I've always felt like in the interest of national security, we should be making friends with the benevolent ones and the ones that have the real technology and the firepower or whatever, because we sure don't have anything to deal with some of these other low-level contacts and that we have made, agreements with and things like that, according to a lot.
Yes, absolutely. I think in the aftermath of a disclosure type of event, let's say, this will be on the political table in our world. I think people, because it's like being pregnant. You can't be a little bit. I don't think it's going to be possible for a long time to be a little bbit disclosing. You may try. The governments may try to give a little bit of information out initially, but I don't think that's going to succeed in the long term. And so people will be aware of these issues. I think they will be made aware of the issues, that there are probably, almost certainly, I think, multiple groups that are here of varying agendas. And, they're going to want to have alignments with those groups that are perceived to be better for us. Absolutely.
There's one thing I'm a little leery of, and we have an old saying here, the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. And so if you don't have the reference points, and let's say you just have a military mindset and everything that you can't control is a threat out there, and so you see everything as a threat and you greet it with aggression or even fear or whatever, that's not really good diplomacy, especially when you're encountering something that might be on an extremely benevolent nature. And the people in charge of this contact, you might say, supposedly, the world leaders, they don't seem to have stepped up to the plate, as far as rising to the occasion and walking in integrity and being of service to humanity and the earth. And that's the part that spooks me, because when they do say, well, we are going to disclose this and uncover this, okay, well, what are they going to disclose? That it's all negative, or that's the part that I'm a little leery about.
I am as well, and I think your points are very, very well taken. It's going to be absolutely necessary. First of all, let me back up, if I may,
sure,
to explain why I think there will be a disclosure. I mean, I'm sure there are people listening right now thinking, well, wait a minute, do you think that's a little premature? There's been secrecy going on this since, forever. What makes you think it's going to end anytime soon? It's a good argument. I've often felt that way myself. I've actually been working this theme now for almost a full decade, trying to ponder the complexities of disclosure. This is not a new thing for me. I've often felt that disclosure is a paradox. It's impossible on the one hand, and it's also inevitable on the other. I say that it's impossible in a sense because really there is no incentive, none, for the powers that be to want to give this secret up. They have no reason, as I see it, for them to do this. They have everything to lose. They have very little to gain from their own limited perspectives. I mean, after all, look, if you've been keeping a secret for a lifetime, really, why? And then, having an entire massive, deep black infrastructure of secrecy developing as a result of that, which is probably very profitable for them, and also revealing that would expose them to political repercussions. Why would they ever want to give this up? The answer is, well, they never would. The reason, however, that disclosure or the end of secrecy is inevitable is simply because time is not going to stand still. We are not going to remain in a 2010 holding pattern for the rest of our lives, obviously. The world today is not the